and I'm a singer.
Hi, my name is Peyton and I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with another set of requested reactions, this time to a set of live stages, and we'll be doing more VICTON requests.
Today we'll be doing some VICTON B-side reactions that we have very strategically avoided listening to because we have these requests. And we'll be watching like live stage fan cam versions of each of these. So first we're doing Nightmare, which is a B-side from their Howling era promotions. And then second we'll be doing Circle, which is the B-side from What I Said promotions. So let's go! Appropriately creepy.
I love it. Oh, come to me.
I know. Not gonna care.
This thing, it's very like things lurking in the dark.
Cameraman Ajashi, please move. Thank you.
God, that we don't love the close-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like moving on a clock.
Yeah, the LED was a clock in the beginning.
Yeah. So the floor work was too. I loved the blue hair.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's so dramatic. Although repeated for more than I would have expected. Although, is it gonna happen again? Oh no.
I love Vandal.
Me too. Oh? Oh!
This part's like a clock.
Ah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Alright, Huntsman, we're doing pirouettes over on the corner. So creepy.
Because of the da motion. I just the sparkles floating down. The sustains are really interesting. I mean, I get their purpose, but...
First, I just want to give a shout out to Taebyung-chan for sitting there the whole time. Sitting there and also staying engaged for the whole song. That's really impressive. It might not seem that difficult because the song's only 3.5 minutes long, but like he's having to sit there and keep that face on and like not be distracting the whole time. Also, something I always find interesting in watching fan cams is watching the people who are not the focus of the song at the time. We've talked about this a lot before. It's not uncommon in K-pop performances for the members who aren't like the focus or who aren't on camera at the time but are still on stage to sort of like drop their faces, like take a break from the performing part and then go back into it when they go back on camera. Traditionally in performing, you're supposed to keep your face on the whole time. But I was like really enjoying it because I was watching all of the members who weren't in the center and they were keeping that sort of like dark, mysterious face on the whole time. Also, I always think it's interesting to watch them look for which camera has the red light on it. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's really interesting because usually they don't move their face, but their eyes are looking. On to the actual dance. So it is a nightmare. Like Anna said, the song is appropriately creepy. The dance is also appropriately creepy. Like one thing I mentioned was this thing that they do like towards the beginning. It has that sort of like creepy crawly, like things that go bump in the night, nightmare sort of like shadow vibe to it. And the whole dance does. Like when you imagine in a horror film, like the shadows that like creep along the wall to like engulf someone, that's the feeling that the dance gives you. And it makes sense also because they're dressed in all black and they're sort of doing that like slinky movement a lot and crossing back and forth like they are engulfing someone. Another specific moment that I found creepier was in the bridge, especially after Sungwoo takes over from Subin, because the other members who are still dancing while Han Sungwoo is singing, they're doing this sort of like wind up, and it sort of reminded me of like a Jack in the Box, their body like getting ready to like the final chorus is probably the most intense part of the dance. It sort of has that feeling. This was another showcase of VICTON's very sensual dancing again, which was the style that they were highlighting while they were promoting Howling at the time, so it makes sense. But it's back to that sort of circular, smooth feeling where everything draws you in. It's very alluring, it's very tempting, like their movement is engulfing you in the same way that like shadows would in a horror film. I'm gonna keep going back to that. I do mean specific movements because a lot of the choreography is sort of circular. Like there's the footwork towards the beginning, there's all the different body rolls and like arm movements that literally bring it in, but also just the pathways that they take is very circular and very center focused. Right before the chorus, for instance, they all sort of swing out and then come back to the center, or when Sejun is singing in the chorus and he's coming forward, the rest of them are focused towards the center. So it's that sort of like draw you in feeling. It's just really mesmerizing, the whole stages. So that was really enjoyable to watch. And also I love creepy, we all know this. So Anna's turn.
Okay, so time for my comments on Nightmare. I also agree, it's like very creepy. A lot of the creepiness, I think, for the song comes from the underlying theme that is constantly there. You hear it as the intro in the beginning, and then there's a singular line that's literally playing it like the entire song. I can't figure out what instrument it is. It's kind of like one of those keyboard settings, but you can hear it's the one that goes like the da 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 da. Like it's playing the entire time as the common theme. And that sort of very simple line is really creepy because it's like goes up and then back to the bass note, and then a little bit higher, back to the bass note, a little bit higher, back to the bass note. You're like here and then back. Then here and then back. So like that feeling, something's lurking there and then it's going back in the shadows, like comparing your shadows, and then it goes out a little bit further and then it's like, no, not yet. So it's just really creepy, but also a simple melody like that and the sort of instrument that's playing it. Also like the ticking sounds and the wind-up effects. Yes, there's a clock, but also it made me think of like music boxes. It's like that innocence, but in horror movies, it's like really creepy, contrasted with like a very grounded bass and like the outfits that they're wearing. It's like a dark song, dark setting. Oh, it's just so, wow. That movement, also while being simple and like the line playing it, sort of has like the sing-song element to it. I'm thinking of like the horror movies when like the doll comes to life. That theme that I was talking about though this whole time, you hear it as the intro and it is like the underlying theme, but it becomes the focus again as the bridge. Another thing that adds to like the sort of creepy crawly feeling of this song is there's a lot of like doubling or tripling on one same line. So it's like multiple instruments or layers, especially the end of the bridge when it's like the ascending melody is being sung. And then that's being doubled in a higher octave by the constant theme. And then that again is being doubled in a lower octave by the bass. So 3 lines doing the same thing in the same motion. And it's just like not overwhelming, but it's like, oh, more and more is coming. I think the only time where the vibe, I guess, of the song feels a little bit different for me is in the second verse. It becomes slightly more like seductive. It's because of that piano line that happens only in the second verse because it becomes more rhythmic and the bass becomes more rhythmic as well. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So next. Okay, so the second video that we will be watching is VICTON's B-side Circle, which is from their What I Said era, and we're watching a live fan cam again. A little disclaimer with this song, we have both heard it before when we listened to the album all the way through when it first came out, but then we very quickly got a request to react to it, so we haven't listened to it since. So yeah, let's go. There's clocks again.
Is it a VICTON B-side thing?
Perhaps.
I love the styling.
Very simple. It becomes like rock anthem E.
There's like, they keep doing like half circles.
Oh, is it gonna be a full circle by the end? Probably. Oh.
It's so cute.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. It's like very... I don't want to say 2000s. It's not exactly 2000s. I'll say this. But it is more like band music, and I like band music. And then octave down. I really just want to fix this high. Oh, thank you, thank you. The background vocals.
Did you notice to fit Hanse's image, he's wearing dark shoes?
Oh!
That was cool.
Ah!
I'm very Subin. First of all, starting off, this is a good example of a song that is very opposite of the title track that is being promoted, being done as a B-side. I want to go back to the styling thing because yes, I said I like the styling a lot, and Anna was like, oh, because it's very simple, and yeah, like it's simple, it feels relatable, it feels really normal for their age. I just wanted to re-emphasize that point because I said that like pretty early on in the song, but then the longer it went on, I was like, oh wait, no, this is perfect because the lyrics and the meaning of the song, it's very relatable for their age group. So the fact that they're dressed very normal, it seems like something that's pretty straightforward, but it's just sort of reinforcing that idea of like, everyone goes through this, everyone struggles with this, and it's supposed to be able to allow the audience to put themselves in their shoes, figuratively. The dance, so circles. So I said in the video like, oh, there's a lot of half circles instead of full circles. I kind of want to go back on that. There are full circles in it, it just wasn't as prominent because a lot of the full circles they're doing are in their hands when they're sort of going like this or like this. And the reason that they don't stick out as much is because the way they're moving their bodies at the time, it's usually in the chorus or like leading into the chorus, and they're like leaning and turning with their body. So it's not like they're throwing it at your face, but they are still there. And it's just sort of those like little smaller details. But the ones that were more prominent to me, at least, were the half circles, which is not what I had been expecting, because you hear a song called Circle and I was expecting like turns, running in circles, like all sorts of things. But I thought the half circles are really interesting because when you look at the lyrics and think about the meaning of like run away like a circle, like you're coming back to the same starting point, the half circle actually shows that off very well and in a pretty obvious way of like you're going somewhere but you're coming back to where you were because you have to push through something, so you can't like run away from it. Partially because of the shape of the half circle, but it's how they're doing it, where a lot of the half circles they're doing, their hands are literally like going down and then bouncing back and like bringing their whole body like back to the starting position. So I thought that was a really interesting way to show that meaning of the song. But something else that really stuck out to me in this was their musicality. And it was so good with this one. And like, that's not to say it's not good with their other songs, because VICTON does have good musicality, but it was just really, really obvious in this one, maybe because it was sort of like a simpler choreography than a lot of their title tracks, because there was more time in between the movements. But a couple of examples, one really good one was Chan's first line. He's singing and it's ascending, and their bodies like literally rise with it, and it looks like their bodies have filled with air and they're facing the back, and it's just this really like pretty moment before it's like the bubble pops and they go into the next thing. The other one that was really noticeable was in every chorus, and it was on the hold on like the runaway. They would like hold their leg out and then let go, so it would like straighten on the hit, and I really liked that. I'm really glad I could finally listen to the song again, because now that I know which one it was, I'm thinking back to my first listen through of the album and I really liked it. So I'm glad that I could listen to it again, because I also really like band music. So yeah, Anna's turn.
So first thing I wanted to say was, it's such a pretty song. Not just like instrumentally and the way that they're singing it, but like lyrics wise too. It's such a pretty song. Not even pretty, it's beautiful. The same thing as you just ended your comments with. When I'm thinking back to when I first listened to the album, I remember really liking this one because I also like band music. Wow. So beginning. I really enjoy the minimal percussion in the beginning of the song. The song really does grow as it goes on. One thing that I really liked were the little like click sounds in the background. It's like the like that sort of thing that you hear in the background, and you don't hear it as much as the song goes on. It adds more like rhythm to it, and it's just like a little ornament. So I thought that was nice. The major band vibes that you get in the chorus, the first chorus, and then that remains a little bit for the second verse. So like the song is growing. And then as the song went on, when you hear the bridge, at first I thought it was like, oh, do they have a third verse in this song? Because the instrumental is like pretty similar. And it starts off with Hanse's rap. So I was like, I guess they have a third verse that starts with a rap. But then as it goes on, you're like, oh no, this is the bridge, because like then the melody starts being sung and it's the build up. And you're like, yes, build up before the big contrast for the final chorus. And the final chorus starts with like Subin singing an octave lower, and it's very quiet, and also the lyrics are a little bit different, so it's like a variation of it, and then you go back into like, ooh, final chorus. And the song actually ends with like a sort of outro section instead. But then more general things about the song. There is a lot of reverb in this. You really hear it a lot in the guitar lines. It adds a like fullness to the song and roundness to the song. Round. Circle, just like based on the lyrics too, and also what you're hearing, it's a very like uplifting sort of song. One thing is like band music just really lends itself to those sorts of uplifting songs. Another thing is like, especially in the chorus, like the percussion, the very prominent bass hits on every single beat, which are like that driving force of like constantly moving forward. Also, especially in the chorus, all the phrases end on an open vowel, whereas in the verses, not as much. So it's like a more contemplative verse versus like a crying out chorus. This is like, let me say it to the world. Not just the open vowel phrases in the chorus, but the lines that they're singing. It goes, 더 멀리, run away, run away. It's like an ascending line every single time, and it's ending on a vowel. So it really is just like a cry out. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was in terms of this sort of storyline. The ending section, that's sort of the outro. I sort of talked about the background vocals in the reaction. It's sort of this like unity feeling, and it's also just like a different section because it's like, oh, where is my journey taking me now? That we've been like repeating this whole thing. Now where are we going? Also, that's under Hanse's rap, which after reading the lyrics and also just like in the context of the song sort of felt more like a voiceover, like letter to myself. I really enjoyed enjoyed this. That's all I really have to say. Those are my comments.
So, TLDR is we are back. It's been a minute since our last VICTON reaction. We were excited for this. But this time we got to check out 2 B-side live stages. So these were fun requests to get to check out, a little bit different from what we usually do. I think if you can't tell, we both enjoyed doing this. I really like Creepy, so I was all about Nightmare. We were both all about Circle. We just love VICTON.
But that being said, if you enjoyed this reaction video, also love VICTON, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe,
Ding!
turn on your notification bell,
Brrr.
and bye!